there, Gina Zitlow here. I just wanted to say hello and thank you so much for purchasing my Soul Realignment and Manifesting Blueprint session. You are absolutely going to love it. And so what I love to do, because there's so much information, is I love to give my clients a little bit of information ahead of time so that they can listen to it. And this will just be a short 10-minute video that will explain some of the topics, so that when we actually get to the reading and we're on the phone in person, I don't take that time away from our session trying to teach and explain. Otherwise, we end up with 2-hour sessions, and I have done that in the past. So I'm trying to give you as much information as I can for the most value while we're together in our session. So Soul Realignment is all about introducing you to who you are at soul level, your divine self-expression, who you are, what makes up your soul. And there's 2 things that make up mostly what your soul is. One of those is, we call them energy centers, which is your divine gifts and your divine energy and what that feels like and looks like for who you are. And those gifts is how you actually will create abundance and joy in your life if you lean into those gifts and use those gifts daily in your life. Now, the other thing we look at is your soul group. This is actually where you originated to at the very first time that you became a soul. Now, we have a vibrational match. So the place that you went the very first time is not always Earth. It's usually a different planet. Sometimes it's even a different galaxy. But that was a vibrational match to your vibration at the time that you were created as a soul. So this plays into who you are at soul level, and you can also use that in your life. There's characteristics and things that make up who you are depending on where you went. So I think that's a little bit of fun information. So the first part of the reading goes into your energy centers and your soul groups, and then I give you a little bit more information about your soul, who you are, all that fun stuff. And then the second part of the reading is it's the actual realignment. So we go over blocks and restrictions. Now, blocks and restrictions are all the things that we have created that are negative karmic patterns that we have created from past lives that weren't healed, that we have brought into this lifetime. We're creating the same patterns, the same sort of situations. They may look a little bit different, but it's the same exact situation that happened in a past life. So if we can clear it and clean it up in this lifetime, now it brings you back to vital force energy, creating more abundance in your life and ease. So let's talk about that part a little bit. So let's talk about good and bad, negative, positive. Our souls really don't look at it like that. The only reason we are a soul and why we are created to be here in this dimension, third dimension, is to create. So the beautiful thing about that is we get an opportunity to create whatever it is that we want. If we create something that is not in alignment with who we are at soul level, it's negative. That's the only thing. It's just taking us away from who we are at soul level, which would be a positive new action step, or an action step, or a choice. If it takes us away from our soul and further away from what we want to create in our lives, then it becomes a negative choice or a negative action step. Okay, so I just want to clarify that. We are here to create. Everyone is here. Everything is perfect as it should be. So there is really no right or wrong in this process. And I really want to make sure everyone gives themselves grace to just be okay where they are. And if they want to create something different, then we're going to use some new action steps and create what it is that you want. So that's the good, bad, positive, negative, karmic situation that we talk about. Now, when we do go over blocks and restrictions, I will name them out loud. It brings it from thought patterns, unconscious thought, into the physical realm so we can actually deal with it and heal it. So when we go over that, all the blocks and restrictions and the negative karmic patterns are what make up your soul stories. And those soul stories are your past lives. Sometimes there's current life situations and past life situations. So we bring all that up and we discuss it and talk about it. And we look at how it's affecting you in this lifetime, okay? And then we make new action steps around that. When I send your report after the session, it's only going to have all the information about your soul that we need to focus on. Once we bring all the blocks and restrictions into reality and we heal them and talk about them and see how they're playing into our lives right now, then we kind of let it go. Okay, so it's not something that we really focus on, so I don't include that part in the reading. Now, soul realignment is actually 5th dimension, 4th dimension, and 3rd dimension work all together. A lot of people will do a lot of work on the spiritual level, which is 5th dimension. Totally, absolutely fine. The only problem with that is if you don't bring it into the physical realm, the human experience on 3rd dimension, there won't be any true transformational healing. It's how it works. There's no way around it. There's nothing we can do. So you'll find a lot of people that are doing a ton of spiritual work. They're very woo-woo. Sometimes they are a little unfocused, kind of all over the place, kind of airy-fairy, but they don't really have any true transformation in their lives, or they don't really create what they want in their lives because they're spending a lot of time in 5th dimension, okay? So just know we do work on 5th dimension. We also work on 4th dimension, which is thought and your mind, okay? So what we think is what we create, right? So 4th dimension is super important in the work that we do. And then 3rd dimension is actually our human experience, the physical plane, things we can tangibly touch, which includes also action steps. That's a physical thing that we do in the human experience, in the physical realm, to create new experiences and new results, okay? So when we do a healing or a session together, I will do clearing work on the 5th dimension. Our homework is involving 4th dimension, thought, consciousness, all of that stuff. And then 3rd dimension is the physical plane. So your homework is actually going to be something physical that you do in your process of healing. And we've got a time frame set around that. So I will explain that in detail during our session. Okay, so a couple other things I want you to know about your actual soul that I will go over in your reading. One of the things we have is a soul vibration. This is actually where your spiritual journey is right now. Anything from 5.0 to 5.9 is all 5. So it's 5th dimension. So it's your spiritual level, where you are on that spectrum. So I'll explain what your number means. Spheres of protection. Spheres of protection are actually, when we're born, most people don't have any spheres of protection. This is like an energetic field around us that actually helps uphold our congruency as a soul in this lifetime. So the more that you step into your divinity in this lifetime, the more spheres of protection that you will have, which it's really good to know those numbers so you can kind of gauge where you're at currently. And then when we do a reading down the road, 6 months or a year down the road, we can see how much you've grown based on your numbers. So I think that's really fun. Another thing we have is something called a God spark. A God spark is actually our divine cord to consciousness, God, the spiritual realm, whatever you want to call it. And if you look at it, it's our heart chakra's right here. So right where our sternum is where our God spark's located. Everyone has a God spark. And I look at it as like a gold shimmery cord, and it goes from you directly to divine source. So if you were to take your perspective back a notch, walk down the street and look at all the people, if you could pull your perspective back a little bit, you could see that everyone has a God spark going straight from their sternum, straight to divine source. So we're all supported, we're all connected, and our job is to just increase our vital force energy. Now, our vital force energy we get through our God spark. So based on negative karmic patterns or things that we've done in our life, we might not be getting 100% vital force energy, which is our support and all of the love and everything that we need to actually operate fully supported and in love in this lifetime. Some people have a secondary God spark. They could either have a candidacy for a secondary God spark or actually have a secondary God spark. So if potentially they chose or wanted to choose into who they are at soul level, they would have something called a candidacy, which means there's that God spark floating out there waiting for them if they choose to take it on. And it's actually located at a certain chakra in your body. And based on where that chakra is, we can tell you what that God spark is used for, which I think is super cool. Now, if you actually have a secondary God spark, that means you're already stepping into your divine expression, your divine soul expression, and that is for extra support. The secondary God spark is actually for extra support around your around your intentions or the congruency of who you are at soul level. So say you are divine communication and you have a secondary God spark at chakra 5. That's all about self-expression and communication. So that is extra support in the realm of speaking or communicating based on one of your energetic gifts. So more about that when in your specific reading. We do have something called white lights. White lights are multidimensional beings. I like to look at them as sparkly little orbs that are all around us. They're multidimensional beings that are helping us uphold our intentions, uphold our goals, and uphold what we want to manifest in this lifetime. So the more support you have, or the more white lights, it's the more you're stepping into your intentions, the more you're choosing you, the more you're manifesting what you want in your lifetime. Now we have anywhere from 1 to 30 white lights. When you get to 30 white lights, then you get something called blue lights, which is just a different energetic multidimensional being that amplifies everything to God, to divine source and back much, much faster. So it's just another realm of this multidimensional being that helps uphold your congruency of who you are at soul level and uphold those intentions for you. Now, I will tell you, meditation helps a lot with increasing those, and so does prayer. So that intention of being connected to something bigger really amplifies how many white lights or how many blue lights that you have. And then I will also tell you how many spirit guides you have. Everyone has a spirit guide, and our guides are actually assigned to us at different times in our life as we're growing up to help us during that phase of our life. So most people usually have around 5. They get 5 by the time they're a full-grown adult. If I'm doing a reading for a child, which I could, they might only have 2 or 3 spirit guides depending on their age bracket. Okay? So that's mostly everything I wanted to tell you. It's all really related to your soul, and that's all the fun stuff that's going to be in your report that I send to you after your reading, so you can refer back to that. And that's all the positive, yummy, wonderful things about your soul that I think is super important so that people don't forget. Because in the reading, it's a very, there's a lot of information and a lot that we go over, and sometimes it's overwhelming. So I do send a recording of our session after the fact so that you have access to that to go back and listen to. And also I'll send the report, and then I'll also send your homework. So this is truly a transformational experience, and this is you taking on you at soul level. So I cannot wait to work with you and meet you in person. And thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Okay? Bye.